Welcome, everyone, to an NABC chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by the new Executive Director of the NABC, Craig Robinson. You should know Craig. He's been a former head coach in the NCAA at Brown and Oregon State, former assistant at Northwestern, just recently worked for the New York Knicks, was also a commentator for ESPN during a little bit of that gap time. Craig, congratulations on the new position. You will be ultimately replacing Jim Haney, who is retiring. Why was this job appealing to you?
Well, hello, Andy, and it's great to be with you again. And this really brings back memories getting to chat with you. And I have to tell you, this job was attractive to me for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the landscape of college basketball is really changing, and I really wanted to be a part of that. And I thought that when I looked at the job description, that I was uniquely qualified, giving my experience being a coach and a coach at different levels, being a former player, being in sports administration, in the media, being in corporate America. It's rare that you get a chance to go after a job where you can use all of your skills that that have come over my experience.
Well, and your most recent experience was with the NBA, and that's been an issue for the NCAA as well as the NABC, is getting on the same page with the NBA, with USA Basketball, whether it's the NBA draft. There's just different, the calendar of the summer. How much do you think that experience of working in a front office, and you were with the Knicks and before that the Bucks, you think will help you in relationships between the two entities?
Well, in my case, it's going to help a lot. You know, I know Adam Silver. I know Sharif Abdul-Rahim, who is the commissioner of the G League. I've worked closely with both of those folks. I was the general manager of the Westchester Knicks, a G League team. So, and in that role, we had a number of our players play for USA Basketball. So when you take all of those relationships, and then the relationships that I have and will develop with the NCAA, I think it's one of those opportunities where the right person communicating the right way, we can get on the same page with the NBA.
All right, so the couple topics I want to dive into, and you just opened up one window for me, and that is the G League, because there was some concern early as Sharif and his group were looking at obviously recruiting some of the elite players. They've gotten a handful, a few. We don't know how deep it will go. They're giving them an option of potentially going to this developmental team, not necessarily playing in the G League, their own team in Southern California. We'll have to see how that all transpires because of the pandemic right now, but for next season. But for college coaches right now, your constituency, how would you put them at ease in terms of whether or not they should worry, fear, work with, what may happen with the G League and recruiting?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say when I'm talking to coaches, and this would be coaches at the higher level who have to worry about losing these kinds of guys, is that there's still, college basketball still is attractive to a lot of players, and the focus has to be on their well-being and development. And if we as a group working together can make college basketball a place where a young player feels like he's going to develop and be better prepared for the NBA, we'll still get our share of guys.
The issue of recruiting, this summer, obviously it's like no summer we've ever experienced. So everything's been shut down. There's going to have to be a sort of a new calendar. This class of what would be the class of 21 will be dramatically affected because of evaluations. And I know you're just getting on the ground here, and we still don't know how the calendar is going to shake out, but what would be your advice to the fellow coaches about what they're going to have to deal with this calendar as it continues to evolve and change due to the pandemic?
I think before I would get into that kind of discussion, I would really sort of want to survey our members and membership and our board to see what makes sense for everyone, given how we're coming out of this pandemic, and really, Andy, our focus is really on the health and safety of our players, our membership, and our communities, and we can figure out the calendar, but I think I want to wait and talk to sort of my bosses and find out where everybody stands.
All right. So overall, since you left Oregon State a few years ago, and now I'm trying to remember how many it's been, but
it's been a while.
Yeah. How much has changed? We've got the NIL, which has not been approved yet officially, but things are changing in that direction. We've got the one-time waiver, which potentially could happen for transferring in the January legislative cycle for the fall of 21. So there's NIL issue, there's transfer issue that certainly will have to be factored out, and your lobbying and your experience will certainly be factored into that as you get to that stage. So those are two big issues. I'm curious your thoughts on those, and maybe any others that you think are on the horizon that might be on your plate over the next year.
Yeah, well, I think again, that's something that we have to, as a collective group, sort of talk about and be a part of those discussions, and we're certainly looking forward to being a part of those discussions. But with regard to the name, image, and likeness, it's exciting to feel like that we can offer our student athletes something here from a marketing standpoint. That's something that's completely different from what's been in the past, and I think we have some time to get our arms wrapped around that situation, and the transfer portal. That's another thing that's for the benefit of our student athletes. So I think those are positive. You mentioned those things are different, but if our goal is to advocate for our coaches and to advocate for our players and advocate for our game, I think between the NCAA and the NABC and all of the stakeholders, we can come up with a proper way of implementing both.
The other thing I was thinking about for the NABC, as a collective group of coaches, and there's a ton of retired coaches, fired coaches that still want to have a field connection. What do you think about the possibility of some sort of, whether it's to keep this group together, whether it's a group health plan for people that get fired or can't get another job, or something where they can stay a connection with this organization at all levels of basketball, that they may need help, especially in this time where staffs could get cut, salaries could get cut. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen over the next couple of years as we try to recover from what this pandemic has done, not just in health and safety, but obviously economically. Yeah.
You bring up a good point, Andy. And I remember, when I left coaching, the brotherhood of coaches has always been really strong, and we've always looked out for each other. And that is something that is going to be on my agenda, is what to do when we're going to have quite a few coaches who are going to be in the situation you talked about. And, it's going to be up to us as a collective group to come up with some solutions. Maybe even we have a retired coaches committee. I don't know. I'm spitballing now, but once I get in the seat and I start to canvass our membership, I'm sure with the amount of experience that we have in our membership, we'll come up with some good ideas.
And lastly, Craig, as it relates to COVID-19, as you know, I'm not trying to get political here. It's sort of every man for himself, every man and woman and child.
Right.
But as an organization, some of these coaches are older, some are high risk. How much do you think you could see? I don't know if I'd say guidelines, recommendations, but just being that arm to help and advise as coaches and staffs have to make some decisions over the year as we hopefully wait for a vaccine, as they just decide, how much can I be out there? How much, should I be involved? Should I take a step back if I have issues or someone on my staff does as well?
Yeah. Let me just say, it is our priority and my priority, and I'm sure our board's priority is the health and safety of our coaches and our student athletes and our teams and our schools and, our entire communities. And our plan is to continue to work with the NCAA, to work with event operators, to work with conferences and find opportunities to get back to the way life should be. But if at any point in time we feel that it's not safe enough, we will act accordingly.
And last thing I got to ask you, since you also serve on the board of trustees at Princeton, the Ivy League was out the front with the championships and canceling first in March. They've made their decision on fall sports, and I know their football is not comparative to high-profile football in the Power Five, but still, the Ivy League is making some decisions about fall sports. A lot of coaches out there are worried. They don't know what's going to happen, and they're waiting to see what their respective conferences are going to do. In that kind of decision for the Ivy, how could it relate to some of these other leagues, regardless of level of Division I or II or III?
The Ivy League is a unique conference. There's really no bowl games for football, so it's a little bit different. But for Ivy League basketball, I think coaches now are worried about what their non-conference is going to look like, right? Are they going to have non-conference games, or are they going to go right into conference play? Is the conference play going to be abbreviated? And I think those are the same concerns that non-Ivy League coaches and schools are having right now. What's going to happen? And I just think we have to be calm. We have to keep analyzing the situation as we move forward, and be able to be flexible, nimble enough to change our path when we get more information. But what I'm hoping for is that we all kind of work together and get the right answers, remain calm, work together, and come up with the right solution at the right time.
Well, Craig, congratulations. Hope you and your family are safe, and look forward to working with you again here in the future.
Thanks, Andy. I am excited to get started. I am very humbled and honored to be in this position, and look forward to representing our membership in the fashion they're used to being represented.